Okay, good morning. Nikki, can you hear us okay?
I can.
Okay, thank you. Lynette's nodding. Okay, very good.
Do you need to turn that up or sound volume okay?
Nikki, could you just do a sound check for me, please? Could you
Sure.
just say something?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Needs to come up louder. Okay, let's try that again. Can you do another sound check, please?
Sure. Can you hear me now?
That's much better. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Phil. Phil's on the beach somewhere.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Good. All right. Well, we're 11:30 on the dot. But let's just give it just a quick moment because Sonia should be joining us. I know Brian is
here. I'm here.
Oh, you're okay. There you are.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Sonia. Thanks for. Yeah, we know Brian will not be.
Yeah, correct. All right. Yeah, we got a visual on Sonia. All right. Well, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. Carrie, will you please do a roll call for us?
Sure. Galaviz,
Here.
Clenny, Magnuson,
Here.
Pantera,
Present.
Westonsko,
Here.
4 board members present, Clenny absent.
All right. Thank you, Carrie. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our October meeting. I don't know about you, but it did throw me off. I thought today was Thursday, and it's really Wednesday since we changed up our meeting. So welcome to our meeting today. Moving right ahead, we have no communications. And the next item up is our minutes, which is an action item. So we're looking to actually have both the regular meeting minutes and the annual meeting recognized. So do I have a motion on the table to approve our regular meeting minutes and the annual? I don't know if those have to be done. Those have to be done separately, or can they be combined?
Generally, a motion is for one thing at a time.
Okay, so we would entertain that on a separate motion for each of those.
I'll move to approve the regular minutes from September 9th, 2021 meeting.
All right, thank you, Nikki. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Sonia. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
And any opposed, say no. Okay, meeting minutes, that motion passes for the September 9th meeting minutes. Do I have a motion for the annual meeting minutes as well?
I'll move we approve the annual meeting minutes as written.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Sonia. All right, all in favor of approving the annual meeting minutes as submitted, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, moved and seconded, and the annual meeting minutes motion passes. Thank you. All right, consent agenda is up next. Again, remembering that these can either be approved as one single motion, or you can also do them separately for the payment of the bills and payroll. In addition, we have our financial reports. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the payment and bills and financial report.
Okay, do I have a second? Thank you, Sonia.
Second.
Okay, Nikki wins out second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed, please say no. Okay, all in favor, motion passes. Thank you. All right, we are moving on to our reports, and the Friends of the Boise Public Library. Good morning, Jill.
Good morning. How is?
Good. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for doing the sound check.
I'm zooming in from a new location, so everything is very confusing to me right now. I wanted to report back that we had an extremely successful porch sale, October 1st and 2nd. It was another record sale for us. We made $3,500. We previously had, our previous record was $3,100 that we set in July of this year. And it's important to underscore that both of those porch sales were for fewer hours than our pre-COVID porch sales, since we're aligning with the hours that the main library is open. So we are very optimistic going into the first weekend in November. We're having our first auditorium sale post-COVID. And we've got lots of planning underway for that, keeping in mind COVID precautions and moving some of our inventory and doing all of those things. And then we are also squeezing in the first weekend in December, another online auction ahead of the holidays. So we've got a lot of great volunteer opportunities and opportunities for the public to come out and pick up some bargain priced books and media.
Jill, it's almost feeling a bit, shall I say, normal having the sales.
Yeah, we are delighted that the demand has really rebounded, especially because we're doing some things a little bit differently now, and it is a little more intimidating for people to gather together with masks and everything else. But we've had really great support from the community, and we're thrilled to be able to be moving some low-priced books and media into willing and wanting hands.
Well, the porch sale, that comes as no surprise with the success and increasing in the amount for the narrow time frame. The Friends do so much for the library. Certainly pass along my thank you to all of your volunteers.
I should also add that we recently added Sunday hours in our store as well. So while we don't precisely mirror all the open hours of the library, we now are open every day that Maine is open for shoppers. So we've been able to rebound a little bit with our volunteer corps and get some more people on the schedule, as well as some backups so that we can maintain those expanded hours. I feel for Jessica having to, with all the hiring that you've had to do too, to make sure that the expanded hours keep going. So we're doing it on a much lower scale, and our overhead costs are cheaper, but it's still a lot to get people back in the swing of things, but we're happy to do it.
Yeah, certainly a lot of moving parts at this juncture. Fellow trustees, do you have any questions or comments for Jill?
No, thank you.
All right, seeing none. Jill, again, thank you on behalf of the board, the team there, and your volunteer. I'm always so incredibly impressed with what you're able to achieve, and we definitely have an opportunity to fill our bookshelves back again and do good for the library at the same time. So thank you for your efforts.
Thank you.
All right. With that, next up is the Boise Public Library Foundation. Do we have a representative from the foundation on here today?
Tanya, this is Carrie. I do not see that Brian was able to join. Brian Manship was going to represent the foundation, but he is not on right now.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Please let me know if you happen to see him pop on.
I will.
I was letting the cart background noise kind of move past us. Next up on the report is the library director report. So Jessica, I'm going to turn the time over to you.
Well, I'm going to start by introducing the 2021 Idaho Librarian of the Year.
Is this now a good time?
Absolutely.
So Heidi, I have a little card for you for your accomplishment. And no, these flowers are not for myself. They're you. You are very welcome. Thank you for all, you know, everyone just, yeah. Well, what an amazing accomplishment, and right here in our very own main library. We are so excited for you.
Thank you.
Very well deserved.
Thank you. I can't believe it. I'm still on track. I'm absolutely thrilled. I'm not gonna do the whole speech that I gave for the association, but I do want to thank the Library Board of Trustees. One of the things I was recognized for was the main library's part in helping to support vulnerable populations over the last year and a half, and all the different times we were able to help with the warming shelter and the cooling shelter. That couldn't have happened without all of your support. And I remember how intensely you supported that undertaking when Christine Miller brought it to you initially, and then when we had to bring it to you some other time. So absolutely, the Library Board of Trustees was one of the entities that I thanked in my acceptance speech for being so supportive of staff and for what we're all trying to do in the community, and for being willing to take chances and try new things. Also, thank you for getting us Jessica Dorr. That has been just incredible for her to continue so much of the great work that Christine had started, and so carefully listening to staff members, so carefully listening to our community. Jessica really is the best listener that I've encountered, and is leading us with kindness and challenging us. So we're really excited about the future. And then also I was able to thank so many of the team members here at the main library, including Carrie Davis, who you all know. We couldn't have done it without her, Brad Smith from IT, Dave Shiner, our maintenance, and then our incredible teams here, the circulation team, who, as you know, they were the front runners. They were doing curbside pickup service years before it became something that everyone was doing. They were doing it really well before then, and then just kept iterating over and over. They're still iterating to make it even better. And for the youth services team to come up with so many new ways of connecting with families and caregivers and children and teachers and everyone. And then the information services team are just such a talented group of lovely people that I've just had the absolute joy of working with all of these people. I would be here without them, and I couldn't do what I get to do without them. And then finally, I got to thank the Boise community for showing up for us, for believing in us. Of course, couldn't do the best job in the world without them. And it is an absolute honor to get to serve the Boise community and to work with the Boise community every day. So thank you.
That is certainly spoken like the true leader that she is. You notice how she has made sure that everyone received the recognition that has played a part in her role and development over the years, and no surprise there with you. I really, on behalf of myself, the work that you have done has just been amazing, and I really appreciate how much you do, much empathy and kindness and innovativeness, and it really spoke to me seeing your recognition. So very well done. Thank you. Very well done. Any other comments, fellow trustees?
Thanks for being awesome. Keep it up. Love it.
Thanks, Sonia.
Yeah, we had a big party here at the library last Thursday when that big announcement was made. So we're thrilled that Heidi got the recognition. And really, as she pointed out, it just felt like a team win. And her team really did put together the nomination packet that was described as setting a new bar. So we're very fortunate. A couple of things I wanted just to touch in on my director's update, in addition to what you were able to read in your packet. You know, September was a really tough month, COVID-wise, with the state moving into critical within crisis care standards, with a lot of libraries in the Treasure Valley having to scale back their hours or be temporarily close because of infections. And you know, we here at Boise Public Library, with the support of our board and the support of our municipality, were able to stay open and we didn't have to reduce any hours or services. And that is because of the real care that we've taken in our COVID-related protocols, that focus on distancing, mask wearing, outdoor programming. We saw how that month that was so hard, and continues to be hard because of continued hospitalizations, we've been able to continue to provide services safely for our community. And I think that just is a testament to the staff that we have here that have always prioritized safety, and the board in the city that has always made sure we've got what we need in place to be safe for the public and to provide services. So I just wanted to call that out. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about the really fantastic day that Tanya and I had on September 22nd, when we literally spent the day visiting every library location. You know, one of the things that I was asked by staff when I joined and asked by the board when I joined was, you know, help us, we want the staff to feel supported by the board, and the staff want to know just, you know, what does the board think of our work, and how is the board, what do they know about us and what we do. And so this day of, you know, going to each location, meeting with staff, touring the public spaces, the behind the scenes, it was just such a great way for Tanya to start her year as our board president. Staff got to meet her, they came up and talked to her about what they're interested in and what they're working on. We saw a story time in the park, we saw grab and go kits being delivered, and we saw you know,
Knitting club.
It was a day that I think to me was just so satisfying to see how the staff responded, wanting to talk to a board member about what they've learned during COVID, how they're serving the community, ideas they have for the future. I just think it was a really important engagement opportunity, and I think Tanya and I talked about it. We'd like to recommend that at the beginning of the board president year, that person block out a day to do that visit at each location, to start, you know, to see the library with fresh eyes for your term as president. I just think that would be so beneficial. And then I would also like to extend a behind the scenes tour at a branch that Brian and Nikki that you're not familiar with, because I think there's some, you know, you both have great experience as a library user. And what I'd love to do is take you to a library that you're not as familiar with and have you go through, you know, walk in the front door, meet the people that are doing programs and services, but also like meet all the support staff and what goes on behind the scenes, because I think it gives you a real appreciation for the complexity of all the services that we're trying to run and how it fits together as a system. So I'll pause there and see if you have any thoughts as well.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing would be to wear comfortable shoes for the incoming president, because we were hard at it from, I think, 9 to 6 o'clock. We did a very short break to eat lunch fast, and then we were off to another location. Hands down, I've been on the board, this is my 10th year, or close to my 10th year, and I learned additional things. So it was a really impactful day to find out what was important to the staff, important to that particular team, what were some of the challenges that they were facing. It was an opportunity to really thank them for their efforts. Frontline, they are the front line with our community, and so it was really impactful to be able to meet as many team members. Jessica tried to find a day that we felt would have the bulk of the teams here at each of the locations. Each location has its own nuances, just like what you're saying, right? I was familiar with, you know, a couple of locations. I've been to all, but it did give me a different perspective going and spending the day at each of those different locations. And I think it will be very impactful for an incoming president. I think that's a great best practice as we kind of digested the day and, you know, did our own takeaways. I think that will be really important also for the staff, the teams at each of the locations to really get to know who the trustees are. And so we felt like that was a really great best practice to establish. But also even on a smaller scale, even if you've been here a while, Sonia and Phil, certainly open that up to you too. If you have some interest in doing that, connect with Jessica. I think that would just give, it does allow us to connect the dots, probably in a little bit different way. Our teams I was blown away by, you walk into each locations and you feel the vibe, you feel the engagement. Our teams are adapted to what their communities need, and they were very passionate around sharing what they're working on, where their focus was, and just incredibly heartwarming to walk away from that day when we have some really amazing teams at all of our branch locations. So.
No, thank you, and I appreciate, yes, I would like to extend that invitation, Sonia and Phil, to either of you as well. I think particularly these libraries do look different than maybe the pre-COVID libraries, but, the question that we asked almost in every location was, what have you learned during the pandemic that you're carrying forward, and how has it helped you? What are the things that we need to not lose from this? And that was such a great answer, because it really shows how staff are adaptive and saying like, oh yeah, this, getting to work with different parts of the system, I've got a better partnership, or we tried a space and it didn't work and now we're more experimental, or, we're gonna figure out how to make curbside even more effective because we know how many people are using that still. So it was really exciting. And then one last update on the strategic planning process to select a consulting service to help us. We met yesterday as a proposal review committee, and we had basically we had 13 submissions, and we had 2 that kind of came out, and Heidi's part of that with me. We had 2 that were basically tied by the review committee. And so what we're going to do next is set up an interview with each of those 2 finalists. And then the review committee will get to really focus in on, is this the right proposal? Is this the right firm? And do they have the right team to support us? So we're moving forward on that. And that's, I think, exciting, because both, in my opinion, the 2 finalists we have are both phenomenal. So either one will be just a great resource, and taking the input from you in terms of how we, engaging the board, engaging the community, making sure that we're really understanding our community needs and have a learning process, an ongoing learning process that comes out of this that's really institutionalized. Both of these firms can absolutely do that. Any questions on anything else, or what I shared as an update?
No, sounds good.
All right, thank you, Jessica. All right, up next is our library policy review, section 1, Board of Trustees. And Sarah, good morning. I believe Sarah's going to walk us through that.
Great. Also, it may look like I'm on here twice. The other Sarah Kelly Chase is actually Joni Hansen, the branch supervisor over at Bound Crossing. We had a little confusion with our link. Anyway, good morning. This is kicking off your annual review of policy for the library. Typically we go in order, but occasionally there are things that rise to the surface that we want to implement changes with more quickly. So I am presenting section 1.0, but then a little piece of regulation that's later in number 4. So section 1.0 really lays out the roles and responsibilities of the board, and also describes the process by which users provide feedback, concerns. Oh, can you still hear me? I'm hearing you.
Yeah, there was a weird noise.
Okay. And we're not suggesting any changes for section 1.0. For section 4.0, which is use of the library, there is a piece of regulation we would like to change. As the board, you don't need to approve regulation, only policy, but we do like to share it with you so you know what we're planning to do and if you have any questions. So for use of the library, in section 4.02B, limits on borrowing services, one thing that we would like to change, and this was based on reevaluating library collections as we do year to year, looking at video games, they're one of our most expensive items in the collection and they're highly sought after. So we want to be proactive in maximizing usage of those items and minimizing the punitive results that can happen if someone loses a whole bunch of games. They're very expensive. So what we would like to do, currently a cardholder may check out 10 video games and have them for 2 weeks. We would like to switch that around and extend it so a cardholder may have them for 4 weeks to maybe actually finish the game. It's hard to finish a whole game in 2 weeks. And then reduce the number they may check out at a time from 10 down to 5, which will reduce the potential costs if they go missing or are damaged. So that is all I have. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, this is Phil. What's a kid pack?
Kid packs, oh, those are in our youth services department. So it's literally a bag with a zipper that have thematic materials in them. So they might have 3 or 4 books, some manipulatives, a puppet, all based out on a theme that someone can take home. And we see them used in classrooms and we see them used in homes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions, fellow board members? All right, Sarah.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Sarah. Appreciate that. Okay, so up next is new business, and Ida, the Idaho Library app, is up next.
So Tanya, this is Phil, just a process question. Do we have to vote on the policy change?
No, because it was a regulation change and not necessarily a policy change.
Okay, thank you.
It was more, good, very good question, Phil. Thank you for that. No, it was more making us aware of the regulation change.
So let me just set this up real quick and then we'll turn it over to Brad to walk you through. We're super excited about the Idaho Library app. We'll spare you the saga of trying to come up with a name, but we're really happy with the name and logo. The marketing group for the Links Consortium came up with for us. And this really, this app, some of these discussions about how can we get an app, how would it be useful for us as Boise Public Library, for the consortium members, really during the pandemic, realizing, how much we would benefit from people being able to access the library on a mobile phone, to check out books on a phone, to do curbside on a phone. So I really want to give my hats off. This is something that Shanna Decker had been working on, Kathy Salder. Well, that's Brad. Sorry.
We thought we lost you.
Sorry, it was a little challenging on our side, but Brad Smith has just really carried this forward with us, and he did a beta of it. We've put lots of feedback, so he'll give you this whole walkthrough. But this is just went live on the 6th of October, and just a really great new service that we're going to make available for the community. So go ahead. Thank you, Brad.
Sorry to throw you off there. I'm going to I'm sharing my phone so you can see what it looks like. To find the app in either the iOS or Android app stores, probably the best search is Ida Library. There's a lot of library apps. There's a lot of things Ida will pick up. In our materials we'll be putting out will be QR codes and such to help people find the app. So here you see the app in the App Store, and in that screenshot below, you'll see what patrons will see when they first load the app. It will be kind of generalized for the consortium. And so there's not much you can do until you sign in as a patron. And so once they do, it becomes basically customized for Boise Public Library. So I'm going to switch over to that here. So here's the app, and it'll load with our resources, our colors, everything that we set up. So I'll just kind of go through it and highlight some of the features. There at the top, you can search the catalog. So whatever you want to search for, it searches the catalog just like online. When you search, you can place holds, you can see what's available, all those types of things. You can also scan ISBNs for books. So if you're you see a book somewhere else that you wanted to see, you can go and scan. And as you can see, I have a book here that I scanned, and it searches the catalog just the same. The next thing would be you can check your account just like you can online. So go in, you can see what you have on hold, what you have checked out, fines, etc. Further down, you see linked accounts. So you can have multiple accounts linked together in the app. So a spouse, your children, in this case, my wife is linked here. And then that makes me so I can see everything checked out, holds on her account as well. We also have other resources on here. So we have our event calendar where it accesses our regular event calendars, room reservation, online resources so we can connect to our Overdrive, our Hoopla there. In the case of Overdrive, this doesn't take the place of our current Libby app. This really takes you to the website for Overdrive as opposed to having a dedicated app for ebook readers. We have, other resources here, other online resources that we've created quick links to that people might want to access. The two big features then on here, and I should show you here at the bottom, you can always have access to your library card within the app. So there at the bottom, there's my library card, there's my wife's library card, and this can be used by staff members up at the desk. It can be used on our self-checkouts. Anytime that the library card is needed, it's there right there in the app. So the first big other feature we have is self-checkout. So when a patron is at a location, and this applies to any consortium location with the exception of Garden City where we don't have this available, they can select self-checkout. It will detect that they're on the location. They can select which card that they have linked on the account is going to do the checkout. Select that. Again, it uses the camera, scans the barcode, checks out the item. And then the last major feature here is curbside pickup. So, and we're not going to implement this yet until November 1st, but how it works is I have a couple of items that are on the hold shelf waiting for me. I go into my holds. One of them is mine, one of them is my wife's, on my wife's account. And if I have a hold that's available, the button appears at the top. It says request curbside pickup. I select that. As long as it's during our curbside pickup hours and the staff member on their dashboard, which they have a dashboard on their side, indicates there are staff available for that service, they get the option for the curbside pickup. So there's the items that I'm going to pick up. We ask them what space they are in here at main library. Different questions will be asked at different locations depending on their setup. So I'm going to say I'm in 1. Once I do that, I submit it. And then the request then goes to a staff dashboard where they pull the book, they check it out for me. There's a messaging section here where we can, if they have questions for clarification, they can ask the patron, or the patron can ask questions of the staff member. And then once that's done, they can go back and go back to the app. And that is the IDA, where I can say, for me, I'm very excited about this. I think it's worked out great as a new service for patrons. It replaces a couple apps that we still have out there. There's a Links Libraries app that will no longer be needed. And we were having patrons use a cloud library app from Biblioteca that this will replace as well.
Questions from the board for Brad?
So Brad, this is Phil. This looks really good. It's pretty impressive, the various things you brought together here. What's the plan for educating the patrons to make this transition?
So we're doing a soft rollout right now. So we decided not to initially put a lot of publicity at it, and Jessica can probably speak to this more. But as staff members see that someone might want to know about it, they're telling people about the app. We'll soon have bookmarks that they can give to people to guide them to the app. But here in a few weeks, a marketing campaign, both here at Boise Public Library and coordinated with the Links Consortium, will start to promote it across for all patrons.
Okay. And is there a roadmap for any future work you might do on this thing?
Currently, we don't have any. The vendor, this is through our current ILS vendor. I have not seen a roadmap for future features. Right now, we've just been concentrating on kind of getting this up and standing, but I will look see if there's something available that we can share.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Phil, I'll just add, I think that's a great question about the roadmap. Brad's been part of the getting this go. We had, as I said, we had a beta version of it, worked out some, like, hey, wait, this feature doesn't work. And so the vendor was really helpful about, like, when we were able to load this up to the app stores, it had been tested. And the reason that we haven't done a lot of the marketing is to Brad's point about really wanting to make sure that staff are familiar with the version that we'll be using with the public going forward. And wanting to do it with the consortium so that when this gets turned on, it doesn't matter what library you're at, you'll have staff familiar with it. And because we got to play with it earlier, we wanted to make sure that our peers had a little bit more time on it. And then just we know there's interest, and having, the bookmarks and the QR codes and having just more familiarity of it. Why we've done this intentional sort of staggered rollout, with the curbside being the last because of the big process change there. But I do like that question about, okay, what do we do next? Because I'm sure that when we have this up and running, there's going to be a lot of stuff that comes out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would encourage, I did get a chance to poke around through it. I didn't quite go through the curbside. I love that.
Well, it's not turned on yet. So.
Yeah, obviously I didn't.
Yeah.
But try to poke around through there. I would highly encourage my fellow trustees that if you haven't downloaded it yet, to please do so and start familiarizing yourself with that. We never know when we're going to be out and about within our community or our circle of friends or acquaintances that we can share all the good things that the library has to offer through this app. Any additional questions for Brad or Jessica?
Yeah. I've got a question about the app looks great, and I'm sure some of the support we can give the library patrons hopefully would look similar to what you just did for us, Brad. Those like video snippets of how to are really critical for patrons that might need a little extra support. I did wonder about language support for our more diverse language learners, if we're trying to have them access the app, or maybe help days in the library periodically to like download, and be able to navigate even the more simple features. And if we had any plans to do some translation, at least for the big three in the Valley.
The app does have the ability to do many languages, but translation is going to be the key there. There have been discussions within the consortium to do some shared translation for some languages. At this point, I would say we are set up with English and some very basic Spanish for the app, but that's it. So there's a lot of room to improve there.
Even if, Brad, I wonder if for Spanish and Arabic, particularly if someone could like do a voiceover like you were doing, even if the app itself is in English, but if you're talking about like basic checkout, like the basic pattern or, you know, pathway that they need to take, showing the icons, but in native language of how to do that. I don't know if that's possible. There's lots of connections the library and schools have to, translators and interpreters that may be able to help with that. So just something to think about. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a great suggestion. And we've got, the consortium would have staff that would be able to put that together for use across.
Yeah, really appreciate that feedback. I really like that idea of the voiceover as well. So what I'm hearing, Brad, is that it has the ability to do the shared languages, but ultimately you have to have someone translate it as well.
Correct, yes.
Is that something, Tanny, is that something we have funding for?
Within the budget?
Is that, yeah, or do we have access to, because being a school teacher often, or an educator often, I'm told it's, it's not possible to get all of the things translated. It's super exciting that Brad's saying it does have the capability of having multiple languages. So then it becomes a budgetary issue, right? Do we have the funds to do that, to, at least in Spanish, which is the largest second language in Idaho. And definitely in the Valley. So I wondered, is that something we could see to eventually get it translated?
I think that is a really great question. I think that is certainly one that we can just explore to see what that looks like and then bring that back in an upcoming board meeting. So yeah, really good feedback there, Sonia. Nikki, did I see that you had a question or did I miss that?
No question. I think it looks really good. And I think Sonia's point's an excellent one too. I had nothing to add really.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, thank you, Brad, for taking the time to kind of walk us through that. I really look forward to seeing as that gets rolled out within the community. I love the fact that it goes across all the iLinks, and so it's we're able to use the power of all of our resources together in that process. So looking forward to what does that look like in the go forward future for us. Thank you, sir, for taking the time to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is selection of trustee. Wow, this is moving pretty fast here. So I don't see Phil. Phil, are you still on the line or on our call?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Phil. So Phil, we've got you down for the October vouchers. Does that work for you, sir?
Yeah, that's fine.
And then our next upcoming meeting is Wednesday, November 10th. Do you have any conflicts or do we all plan to be here? How's our schedule look? I will be here for sure. Not hearing any conflicts. Okay. All right. Next meeting will be Wednesday, November 10th. And I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you, Sonia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Nikki. Got a delay. There's a delay, I think, in the timing. All right, all in favor, aye, please.
Aye.
Hey, any opposed? Okay, motion carries to adjourn. Thank you, fellow trustees.